There's this huge gap between the dream of getting successful really fast and the reality of how growth actually happens. So today, we're diving into why learning to play the long game is probably the single most powerful strategy you can have.
This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. Failure usually isn't about not trying hard enough. It's about having the wrong expectations from the get-go. I mean, think about how many amazing projects get abandoned right before they're about to pop just because the timeline felt wrong.
We've all seen it, right? Those YouTube thumbnails promising you $1,000 in just 7 days. The flashy income reports, the stories about one video going viral and changing everything. That whole narrative creates this totally warped expectation, and frankly, it sets a lot of us up for major disappointment.
All right, so first up, let's just completely dismantle one of the biggest myths out there. This idea that you can actually build a strategy around going viral.
This is such a critical distinction. Trying to build your business on a viral hit is basically the same as planning your retirement by hoping you'll win the lottery. I mean, sure, it's fun to think about, but it is not a plan. Real sustainable success is built methodically, brick by brick, not by some random lightning strike.
And that leads us right into the second big area where beginners get totally tripped up. It's this fundamental misunderstanding of what numbers, what metrics actually lead to real long-term growth.
Okay, take YouTube, for example. Beginners are obsessed with views. But here's the thing, the algorithm doesn't just care about views, it cares about how viewers behave. If people click your video and then leave after 30 seconds, YouTube literally stops showing it to people. But if they watch all the way through, well, that sends a powerful signal that you're providing value. High retention is how you build a real community.
And it's the exact same story in affiliate marketing. 1,000 people searching for what is investing are way, way less valuable than just 10 people searching for best budgeting app review. Why? Because the first group is just curious, but that second group, they're ready to make a decision. Intent beats sheer volume every single time. This pattern shows up everywhere, even in something like personal finance. People waste so much time chasing these clever little loopholes instead of just mastering the basics, saving consistently, keeping clean records, and actually understanding their finances. It's the boring stuff that actually builds long-term, unshakable stability.
So you see the pattern here, right? This is the core principle. Whether you're dealing with an algorithm, a customer, or even the tax system, they all reward quality and trust over just getting a ton of attention. And that's not an opinion. It's literally how these systems are designed to work.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This pattern isn't just some coincidence. There's a real scientific principle that explains exactly why success seems to, build on itself.
It's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? Why does it seem like once someone gets just a little bit of momentum, it just snowballs into this massive success? Is it just luck? Well, the answer is a big, resounding no.
The phenomenon is actually called preferential attachment. And in simple terms, it just means that systems are often built to give more resources, like attention, links, or recommendations, to the things that already have them. It's a powerful feedback loop.
And once you start looking for it, you see this absolutely everywhere. The more links a website gets, the more visible it is, so it gets even more links. The more a YouTube video is watched and proves it can hold someone's attention, the more the algorithm shows it to new people. The system is designed to reinforce its own winners.
So this insight should change everything about your approach. Your job isn't to try and trick this system. It's to build an asset, one based on trust and retention and real intent that the system is already designed to reward. You're not chasing a viral spike. You're trying to activate this incredibly powerful force of preferential attachment.
Okay, so if we're building a real asset, how long does that actually take? Let's break down a realistic timeline, because honestly, understanding this is what separates the people who make it from the ones who quit.
Look, in the first 3 months, you're going to hear crickets. Almost nothing happens that you can see. That's the foundation phase. Then, somewhere around months 4 to 6, you start seeing the first little signals, a tiny bit of traffic, a few clicks. Now, this is the most dangerous period, because those signals feel so small, but they are proof the system is starting to notice you. And then, after 6 months, if you've been consistent, the compounding finally kicks in. Growth starts to build on itself.
So you absolutely have to reframe those early months in your mind. It is not silence, it's incubation. The system is collecting data. You are building that initial wealth of trust and content that this whole preferential attachment thing needs to grab onto and start working its magic. And this brings us to the final, and I think the most important mindset shift of all. It's about asking yourself, are you playing a game of chance, or are you actually constructing something valuable?
This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? The two different mindsets. The lottery player is always chasing the next trend, hoping for a lucky break. They measure success in these temporary spikes, and they quit during that quiet phase. But the asset builder? They focus on building foundational trust. They invest with consistency, and they use that quiet phase to learn from the early data. They measure success not in spikes, but in those small, crucial signals.
The big takeaway here is that this is a choice. You can consciously decide to stop playing the lottery and instead embrace the discipline of building something real, something that grows predictably over time.
So, ultimately, it all comes down to this one question. And your answer is going to determine not just your strategy, but whether you have the patience to stick with it long enough to see the incredible power of compounding really take hold.